Today is Saturday, January 20th, 2018. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Astrology Notes for the week of January 21st through the 28th, 2018. Weekly Summary. It's a week of moving forward, starting new plans. We begin the week during the first quarter or week after the new moon, and that's the time of beginning new growth, planting the seeds of growth for the coming month. And Monday begins with Moon in Aries, which is also a time of starting new projects. So that's where we get the theme of starting new plans this week. It's all Mercury aspects this week, including two wonderful aspects midweek. On Wednesday, Mercury conjunct Pluto in Capricorn gives us all the mental focus and stamina we need to work hard, see tasks through to the end, and make our plans a reality. With this comes the ability to dig deep on any issue and transform our thinking process for the better. Followed closely by Mercury sextile Jupiter early on Thursday. Brings lots of optimism, ability to forgive and move on, overcome mental limitations, and make the professional connections necessary to bring success. So midweek is an important time for communication, when we need to measure our words carefully for success. Be mindful of the power of our words and how they can be used to shape our reality for the better. Let it be a time to overcome pessimistic thinking and moving into your power. And Mars enters Sagittarius on Friday. It brings more enthusiasm and optimism for just about the rest of the winter. It'll be in Sagittarius until March 18th, almost up until the equinox. So there is another indicator that now is the time to initiate your plans for growth. And Moon enters Gemini on Friday, bringing increased mental activity Friday through Saturday, bringing us into the weekend, which could bring some surprises. We've got Mercury square Uranus, another Mercury aspect, and that'll be late Saturday evening. Means we need to overcome fixed, rigid, and traditional thinking. Earlier in the week, we repaired and expanded our thinking with Mercury conjunct Pluto and Mercury sextile Jupiter. And now on the weekend, we get a reward as Uranus brings release from limitations and some enlightenment. It could also bring some surprises, a sudden change of plans, some enlightening discussions, and bright ideas. So Saturday evening is going to be lively. And then Sunday the 28th, it's a day to relax at home and recharge, with a long void, of course, in the morning and Moon in Cancer for the rest of the day. So all things considered, it's a big Mercury week, a time of mental breakthroughs and moving forward with your plans for success. And at the end of this video, I've got transits for North and South Korea, as well as the Federal Reserve, China, the European Union, and Germany. Okay, so let's get started with Sunday the 21st. Moon in Pisces makes it a good day to stay in, regenerate, and repair in the home environment, because all of the moon aspects are to either Pluto or a planet in Scorpio. So in the afternoon, we got the moon trine Mars. We'll have a little bit more physical energy on Sunday afternoon. And then relaxing void, of course, until the late evening when the moon enters Aries. It'll be good timing as the moon in Aries, bringing an enthusiastic tone to the start of next week. We have more energy and ambition to start new projects. So moving into Monday, the 22nd. Moon in Aries gives us three aspects this morning to help us start the week. Middle of the night for those of us on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, it'll be early morning, ambitious and inspired. Great aspect to get the creative energy flowing. And then a little bit later, things get a little bit colder with the moon square Saturn. The past feels like it's holding you back. Life seems hard. You'll need to focus on work a bit more. And then later in the morning, pleasant moods with Moon sextile Venus. Okay, and moving along to Tuesday, the 23rd, the moon in Aries is challenging us to overcome past conditioning and focus on the present moment. The evening, we're looking to make a break for freedom. We start early in the morning with the moon square Mercury. Mind is active and in need of focus and practical direction. Preoccupation with the past may distract you. The morning commute may be a little bit more difficult than usual. And then later in the morning, moon square Pluto, another moon square. Folks are moody and intense, desire to break free from a limiting situation. You tend to be more aware of what you're not getting in the world when the moon squares Pluto. A lot of subconscious things can come up. And then later in the evening, moon conjunct Uranus, looking for a change of pace to break out of stagnant patterns. So once a month we get this aspect, and it's all about changing our moods and getting a more enlightening perspective, helping us to overcome our inhibitions and our mental blocks. In Aries, this aspect tends to make us really self-motivated and inspired to be all that we can be. Very ambitious. It's an aspect where you get lots of ideas that need to be looked at in a more realistic perspective the next day. But nonetheless, it helps you break out of a stagnant situation. You may need a physical outlet for all of this emotional release. And then moving into Wednesday, the 24th, a powerful set of Mercury aspects today. Make it a day to transform your thinking for the better. Okay, moving along to the 24th, the void of course that begins on Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock ends early morning on Wednesday when the moon enters Taurus. Exalted in the sign of Taurus, we are steadfast and looking to find our comfort zone for the next couple of days, more focused on money and personal resources as a means of providing emotional stability. Time to follow through on existing projects we started in Aries. And then we come to the Mercury conjunct Pluto. Just love this aspect. It's all about transforming, regenerating, fixing and repairing and revitalizing your thinking process, making a change for the better. Powerful subconscious forces emerge, and we become much more aware of the power of our words. We intrinsically understand that what we say has consequences, so we choose our words carefully and only speak when it's to our advantage. A good day for hard work, putting your mind to a task and seeing it through to the finish. Lots of stamina, very committed. Intense mental focus, to the point of not seeing anything else. Able to overcome obstacles and distractions, which only serve to make you focus more and go more inward. As part of the pair of Mercury aspects today, it's a time to rethink your opinions and overcome just about any mental insecurity or psychological problem, or at least address any insecurity or problem you have and try to resolve it. Really good opportunity to make a change for the better in your thinking process. Speaking from your inner truth will transform your outer life and the lives of those around you. People will see you're coming from a sincere space and want to empower you, because they'll intrinsically see that giving you power is like giving them power. Okay, so writing, anything using the hands would be good therapy today, because Mercury rules the hands. Using this energy for selfish gains will deny you the ability to merge your ideas with the collective and see yourself as part of the group. So you don't want to do that. Great aspect for that. And I'll get into the Mercury sextile Jupiter soon, but first we're going to look at, we got the moon trine Saturn in the early afternoon on Wednesday, and that'll have us steadfast and focused on duty and responsibility. And then we've got the first quarter moon on Wednesday afternoon, and that'll be Taurus to Aquarius. The challenge for this month's growth, we sense a crisis for fulfillment, as usual at the first quarter. We're tempted to cling stubbornly to ideals. And that's the square from Taurus to Aquarius. So this new moon in Capricorn from last week tells us we need to focus on things of lasting value this month, like career and reputation, and have integrity in all that we do. And now the first quarter moon is telling us we must use personal resources to achieve our goals. We need to be practical and down to earth when pursuing our plans this month. And then another Taurus to Aquarius square, moon square Venus. Money and friends don't mix well under this aspect. And Wednesday evening should be lively because the Mercury sextile Jupiter is strongest on Wednesday evening. It's happening very early Thursday morning. So it's a good time to write down your goals and think about your plans for the future. You know, maybe you can do something like resolve to keep a journal because, you know, the moon conjunct Pluto is all about starting a new thinking process and something that's going to help you regenerate and repair your mind. And the sextile to Jupiter is really helping to express your energy. So something like maybe starting a journal, that kind of energy would be really good under this set of aspects. And like I said, Wednesday evening should be lively, good for social gatherings. Folks have a lot to talk about and share with one another. Okay, moving along to Thursday, calling this an optimistic about life day with Mercury sextile Jupiter. It's another sextile similar to so many we've been experiencing lately, from Capricorn to Scorpio. Today, the mind functions better. We're looking for opportunity. Optimistic, able to forgive, overcome obstacles to your thinking. You know, thinking about the big picture, wanting to know the greater meaning of things, how one thing connects with another, able to connect the dots and see the overall pattern. Makes us curious, inquisitive, desire to learn, travel, and explore. A good day for planning, thinking about your future. Got a good perspective, you can see far. Good judgment, able to analyze your situation, find ways to make improvement. Good aspect for driving in any form of travel, long or short distance. Good aspect to start a journey. Really good aspect for business. And it's also good for communicating with other people in your professional group. And best of all, it's a good day for communication of all types. There's going to be a lot of it. Good aspect for social gatherings. Everyone's in the mood for conversation. Has lots of practical wisdom to share. Good ideas, important things to share with one another. Able to find philosophical agreement with one another. Also, the mind is functioning better today. So it's a good day to get a lot of work done. And it just really complements that Mercury conjunct Pluto very well. And for the moon aspects on Thursday, moon sextile Neptune, feeling dreamy early Thursday morning, very sensitive and sensual. Good time for a massage or meditation, healing with crystals and stones. And then in the afternoon on Thursday, we got three pretty good aspects. Moon trine Pluto, looking for opportunity for advancement, change for the better. And then a little later in the afternoon, Moon opposition Jupiter. Emotions expand, feeling extravagant but with poor judgment, although it's a good social aspect. As well with the next, Moon trine Mercury. In the early evening, communication flows easily. Another good social aspect for Thursday evening. And then a void, of course, begins, and that'll continue until early Friday morning. So moving into Friday, the 26th, Mars enters Sagittarius this morning, bringing some optimism. The moon in Gemini brings a challenge mid-morning, but we're in the mood for socializing on Friday evening. We start in the morning with Mars entering Sagittarius, where it will be until March the 18th. That's almost for the entire rest of the winter, up until the equinox. So, identity with our perceptions, identify with our perceptions, including our religious beliefs and your sense of justice as well. It's a very principled placement. Optimistic, interested in professional sports as well. Over the next 8 weeks, we have more vigor, more energy for growth. Good time for physical activity. You really need to stretch and move the body, because Jupiter loves to stretch, or Sagittarius, I should say, loves to stretch, and Mars really gives you the energy for that. Move the body, feel the fire within. Mars is our desire nature, and it isn't shy, so we're not afraid to pursue sexual fulfillment and kind of gallivant. Sagittarius likes to gallop. It's the horse. So it's a tendency to desire whatever you see. The symbol of Mars, it's the circle with the arrow. And that means, taking the energy of the inner planets, which is the circle, and then the arrow means directing that towards the outer planets. So whatever project you're working on, now you feel a need to take the next step, or maybe you want to start a new project, initiate something. Lots of positive attitude about growth. Mars rules war and aggressive actions. And in Sagittarius, Mars seeks justice. So it's a just warrior. So folks fight for justice now. Folks more willing to stand on principle and fight against any injustice in the world. There is a tendency to take things personally as well. So you might want to watch out for that. Could start arguments. A little lecture on the fire signs I thought would be a good idea here. The primal creative fire starts with cardinal Aries. It's a cardinal sign. And that energy is forged and begins to take shape in the creative process of the fixed Leo. That's fixed fire. And then it needs to go through its final stage of adjustment in mutable Sagittarius, where that primal creative force takes its final shape as a universal cosmic form and is shared with the rest of the world. So basically, the creative inspiration that starts with Aries ultimately lands in Sagittarius, where it takes its final form. And that's how the creative process is revealed through the fire signs. So this is a very inspirational placement, and it's going to last the rest of winter. So I might put that out there, give you a little idea of how the creative energy flows and why this could be such an inspirational time for us. Okay, moving into the moon aspects for Friday. We got moon entering Gemini on Friday morning. We're more mentally active for the next couple of days. Kind of hard to make up your mind, as Gemini tends to see both sides. It's the twins. It's not a time for resolving things, more a time for catching up on missed connections and needing to feel like we talked to everyone we needed to before returning to our shell when the moon enters Cancer. Good time for mental puzzles and quick exchange of information. Looks to be part of an active weekend, along with the Mercury square Uranus. And then more on Friday morning, moon opposition Mars. So Friday morning is very energetic. Folks are loud and opinionated. Loud because it's Sagittarius. So Mars in Sagittarius can get overbearing, and this aspect can be like a punch in the mouth. Tempers flare, and folks are demanding. The high energy is great for a workout or a yoga session. Mars in Sag, like I said, it loves to stretch. And then going all the way into the evening on Friday, we've got the wonderful moon trine sun. Wonderful. Friday evening is electric. Good time for social gatherings as inhibitions subside and we're able to share ourselves with others freely. Okay, moving into the weekend. Saturday, the 27th, moon in Gemini gives us a challenge to stay focused this morning. And Mercury square Uranus brings some surprises this evening. A good day for enlightening discussion. We start in the early morning with moon trine Venus. Gives us a pleasant disposition early Saturday morning. And then we got the moon square Neptune. Okay, the active moon in Gemini, basically in its death cycle before it starts a new cycle in Cancer, it can become very active at this time as emotional energy dissolves and we feel like we're spinning our wheels, getting nowhere and low on energy. It's time to pull back your energy and not go into effort or try to resolve anything early on Saturday morning. Let yourself be open to subtle influences, help from the spirit world, connect with animals or spirit guides. You're feeling very sensitive, maybe disappointed about something in life. Hard to let go of the past, maybe. Tendency to escape into fantasy. You can easily delude yourself. So that's why I say it's time to pull back during these kind of aspects. And then we move into the late evening, where we got the Mercury square Uranus, the third Mercury aspect this week. So the weekend of the 13th and 14th, basically, we had Venus and Sun square Uranus, and those aspects helped us break through old patterns and enlighten us. So I suspect we'll feel a bit more of the same today, now that it's Mercury's turn. The overwhelming Capricorn energy has brought us to a high point in our perspective. And now we need to move around a bit. Overcome our fears, overcome our limitations, open your mind to a new way of thinking. You might be a little bit inhibited with Mercury in Capricorn. And this aspect really helps you let go of that. Despite it being a square, I'm seeing how these aspects lately are playing out with respect to the overall patterns of energy coming at us. And now it appears that we should see these Uranus squares as an opportunity to overcome limited thinking and to break us out of the fear that sometimes we get with Capricorn. We just, we don't want to move. We're afraid to break out of our shell a bit. So these Uranus squares are helping. The mind is active and in need of stimulation. We're looking for information to help you evolve into better circumstances. We're curious, looking for change. Could bring some surprises. Plans may change suddenly. You'll need to be adaptable. The change can come in a number of ways. New ways of looking at things, seeing possibilities that were not there before. Friends are more important today. We need them to share their ideas with us, share what's working for them in life, what new tips or tricks for adapting to the changing world have they picked up on that maybe you could use in your life. Maybe take a page out of their book. Could make for enlightening discussions. Be open to surprises. Whomever crosses your path today, they could bring some positive change to your life. A good time to seek a teacher or guide to help you on your path in life. Good aspect for group activities. Folks are talkative, looking to make new connections, open to people who are different, curious about different people and different opinions. So that will carry into Sunday as well, the 28th. And we're going to have a slow Sunday morning, though, while the moon is going to be void of course until the late morning. And then the moon in Cancer has us preferring to be at home. So the void of course begins early Sunday morning with moon sextile Uranus, and then ends late in the morning with moon entering Cancer. So you may prefer to crawl into your shell for the next couple of days. Time spent at home gives you a chance to nurture yourself, cook a nice meal at home. We're more sensitive and caring during this time. Important to be around people who make you feel good about yourself. Because, you're very watery. You absorb a lot. So you want to avoid negative people and circumstances. And then Sunday evening, we've got the moon opposition Saturn. Unfortunately, around mealtime, because this aspect will slow down your digestive process. Brings a lack of emotional flexibility. You feel like a wet blanket has been thrown on you. You need to eat a warm meal. Okay, so that's it for this week's aspects. Moving on to interesting stories for this week. Thought I'd take a look at the transits for North and South Korea. Here's a story. The two will join and march as one at the Olympics. That's a nice development. It actually is something that has happened before, but this time they're going to have a combined women's ice hockey team. So they're taking the next step. I thought that was really nice. I thought it was a good occasion to take a look at their transits. And we see that the recent Saturn opposition Uranus, they've got Uranus natally at 0 degrees of Cancer, which is very close to the natal Uranus of South Korea. And that transit, Saturn opposition Uranus, brought a desire to reach their highest potential. And that's what this transit will do for you. Make you feel like you want to be all that you can be. Although it's more often a time when you feel restricted in life. Nonetheless, it does bring on that desire to achieve your highest potential. Now, they haven't had this transit in 30 years, obviously, and it seems like this time around, that could mean more than in the past, because the world has changed a lot in the last Saturn cycle. And now at the start of the new Saturn cycle, Saturn is revisiting the issue of freedom for the people of North Korea. And the result of that was the best development towards reconciliation in many years. So it's good news that's been occurring around this transit. I also suspect that the transit Jupiter conjunct Chiron is also helping to heal old wounds, as it does for us. Also, Uranus trine Saturn in April to January of next year will help them make adjustments to modernize their structure. As for unification is concerned, I'm noticing this. Neptune is about to oppose their Sun. Interesting is that June 18th, Neptune is going to go retrograde at 16 degrees 29 minutes of Pisces. And you'll notice their Sun is at 16 degrees 21. So that's an extended period of time for a Neptune opposition Sun transit, from late May to early July. It's a long transit, and they will have 3 more passes in 2019. So this is the big one, because Neptune dissolves. And this is the transit, if any, that is the best indicator of reunification. And like I say, it's this extended period for this transit in June of this year. So those looking for reunification of North and South, it looks like things are moving in that direction. As for the chart of South Korea, looking for the corresponding transits, of course, they just had the Saturn opposition Uranus as well. So they too are looking to achieve their highest potential. And I'm noticing that the transiting North Node, here at 14 degrees of Leo, is conjuncting their natal Pluto on February the 11th. And that's what this chart is for. South Korea on February the 11th. And the Winter Olympics starts next month on the 9th in South Korea. So it's interesting to see that transit at the time when the world's attention is on them. According to a link that I'm going to leave, this transit provides a positive influx of energy and power. It has been identified with Jupiter and embodies a joining quality. So that's a good sign, once again. So it seems that the main issue is the North joining the rest of humanity, not really just joining the South. That's really the big issue, because they are separated from everyone else, whereas the South is not. To that end, it seems like the forthcoming Neptune opposition Sun means humanity is focused on them, and that is the main force that will be dissolving the wall they live behind. So look for the first clear signs of reunification in late May of this year and actual reunification sometime in 2019. Moving along to the Federal Reserve. Been anticipating this transit for a while. This week, the first pass of Pluto opposition Mars. You'll see here 19 degrees of Capricorn to 19 degrees of Cancer. The next pass will be late July, and then the last pass will be in late November. So this is just the first pass. They will now face the toughest test of their security they have ever faced. Powerful forces rise to oppose them. The issue with the Fed is that they have exerted dominance over others since they came into being, and it will be hard for them to cope with being unable to do as they have in the past. They'll be tempted to use subversive tactics to maintain control, which would backfire on them in this case. The fall of the U.S. petrodollar around the world cannot be stopped by them. Okay, it's a futile effort, and they're going to have a hard time adjusting. At the first pass of this transit, we're expecting an event to define the issue. So this week, we're looking to see what happens with the Fed. But it will probably be not an action taken by the Fed, because remember, this is the 7th house. So likely, someone else takes action that threatens the Fed's dominant position. So let's see who might be that someone who takes such action. And I'm thinking it's going to be China. So here we've got China and the January the 15th. You'll see the recent passage of Jupiter at 19 degrees of Scorpio, sextiling Pluto at 19 degrees of Capricorn, made strong transits to their natal Venus at 19 degrees of Scorpio. You'll see here. So I think that this aspect really affected them well, and they manifested it because of the corresponding transits for them. Now, considering Venus rules personal finances and Scorpio rules collective finances, this looks like they are ready to make a bold move. Bold because it's Jupiter. In a way that puts them in greater control of the world financial establishment. Pluto in Capricorn. This is all part of the overall theme of Pluto in Capricorn, which is really transforming the world authority structure. Looking coincidental with the Federal Reserve's Pluto opposition Mars, came across this story. So I'll leave a link. It says that China is now signaling that it will no longer buy U.S. treasuries. The headline reads, "Is this the beginning of the end of the empire?" Wow, this has massive implications in the financial world, and it may be the event we're looking for with regards to that Pluto opposition Mars transit. Now, how appropriate the issue is being established at the first pass of the transit, just as we'd expect. So I'm not saying for sure that this is going to happen. After all, threats are common, but it's significant because this is something that really threatens the Fed, and that's what we're looking for, something that threatens them. And also, really interestingly, once again, we see big economic news coincidental with a major aspect and concurrent transits for China. You see, just like when the aspect Pluto trine Jupiter made concurrent transits to their Saturn in the 8th, when Pluto was at 13 and Jupiter was all the way over here at 13 degrees of Virgo, we had a Jupiter trine Pluto right on top of their Saturn. And that coincided with some really big economic news for them. And now we see Jupiter sextile Pluto, and once again, it's coincidental with a major transit for them, Jupiter conjunct Venus and Pluto sextile Venus. So it's like happening again. That's the kind of pattern you want to look for. What happened at Jupiter trine Pluto just happened again at Jupiter sextile Pluto. And both times, China had concurrent transits to a natal planet, first Saturn in the 8th, and now Venus in Scorpio in the 10th. That is just amazing. That's the kind of synchronicity you look for. So, moving along to the European Union. Okay, I've got a couple of links I want to share with you to get us started on this. Basically, Sweden is preparing for a civil war. Their prime minister wants to deploy the army in no-go zones, and they're now distributing civil defense brochures. Wow. And in Germany, you got the Reich citizens on the rise, planning a possible Day X when they want to confront the government. So this is some really heavy stuff going on in Europe. And Sweden and Germany are the flashpoints. So I'm looking at the chart of the EU, looking at their transits. And first of all, I think the most important point to make is that now it seems clear that the recent passage of Pluto over their Uranus conjunct Neptune has shattered the utopian ideal that is the centerpiece of this chart. I think we can all agree on that. You can see that this utopian ideal from the start was always meant to destroy the European culture. Mars conjunct Pluto in the 4th, opposed Moon in the 10th. I think they knew what they were doing, and it has done that. And now, on November the 2nd, Pluto is going to retrograde all the way back down to 18 degrees 45 minutes. Very close to almost making another pass on their conjunction to Uranus. So the destructive forces of Pluto may not be complete until late summer. Basically, from now till then, we're looking for astrological markers when the civil unrest will erupt into violence or potentially some major political reversal of the current immigration policies. As a mess with the recent transits, Pluto square Venus, which happened on the 15th, followed by the Mars transits, Mars conjunct Mars, Pluto in opposition Moon, and the Uranus quincunxes, which was anticipated, as I mentioned recently in one of my reports, but still to come this week. They got the last pass of Uranus quincunx Pluto, happens this Monday the 22nd. So we're still looking to see more of this type of civil unrest early this week in the EU, especially in Germany. Taking a look at their transits, focusing on their natal Saturn at 18 degrees 48 minutes of Capricorn, making them the authority of the EU utopian ideal. They will get one more pass for sure as Pluto goes back down to 1845. So it's going to be an extra long last pass of Pluto conjunct Saturn in early September. So this summer, civil unrest will likely manifest in Germany as they approach the last pass. In the article, the nationalists are talking about a Day X, the day of revolt against the government. And that sounds very Pluto-like, so it wouldn't be surprising if something like that happens in early September. I mean, it's a revolt, and they're calling it Day X. It's all very Plutonian. And these transits, or this transit coming up in September, is a likely candidate for when something like that could happen. But the overall theme for Germany these days is political confusion and turmoil. And that's because last September, they had Neptune squaring their Mars. Now, here's their chart briefly for September the 24th. And the reason why I call that out is because on that day, they had their federal elections. Okay, so they had Neptune square Mars on the day of their federal elections last September. So that's really, I gotta say, one of the worst aspects under which to hold an election. So we can expect that this will lead to ineptitude and disappointment over the course of this election cycle. Now this past Friday, the 19th, they got the last pass of that Neptune square Mars. Okay, so it's a demoralizing transit that bruises the ego and makes you feel weak. So they're feeling pretty weak politically right now, especially since it's in Gemini. As well, this coming week on the 21st, we're looking to see how Chiron opposition Mercury, 25 Pisces to 25 Virgo, is going to manifest. The key phrase is harsh words. So German politicians need to be aware of this transit because anger and pain will be directed at them primarily. If you live in Germany, by the way, you'd probably get a better feel for how this turns out. So for my viewers in Germany, please leave us some comments this week in the comments section and give us a feel for how this transit manifests. But the really important upcoming transit for them is going to be Saturn conjunct Uranus. It'll be at 5 degrees of Capricorn on February the 10th. It's going to be the first of 3 passes. This could be a real flashpoint. Pressure has been building for a long time, and this transit will cause it to be released. This transit is like losing your Saturn for a moment, losing your grip on reality. You could do something really surprising. We can anticipate sudden events designed to help people break through the stagnant and repressive energy that is holding them back. This radical energy will be directed mostly at the government and authority figures who defy the will, and have been doing so for a while, defying the will of the people and ignoring the pleas for change. It could get volatile, depending on how much stagnant energy has built up and needs to be moved out of the way. And for them, it appears to be a lot. And right around the same time, on the 12th of February, Uranus quincunx Mercury, the last pass. Wow, more unrest in politics and more potential for sudden change. So we expect more political turmoil in Germany, starting this week with harsh words and leading to a flashpoint in mid-February. Okay, so those of you in Germany, put some comments in the comments section. Let us know how things are going. A little bit about myself. My ascendant is at 19 degrees Cancer, and this Jupiter sextile Pluto has been doing me wonders. I just had Jupiter trine my ascendant, and on that day, wouldn't you know it, I had the honor of getting a personal reading from Robert Hand, the famous author of Planets in Transit. It turns out he knew my father and respected his work. The opportunity came suddenly, and I jumped on it, and I'm very glad I did. He offered me some excellent advice. You know, if you're interested in how you could get a reading from Robert Hand, you can find him on Facebook, and he has a link you can follow to schedule a reading. Okay, so now gladly accepting donations at Patreon and PayPal. I'm happy to say I recently received more donations. I'm now up to $15 a month, on my way to reaching my goal of $50 every month. So I'm asking my regular viewers to donate $1 per month through Patreon. It's very easy. You find donation buttons in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my channel homepage. And if you're looking for an astrologer for personal readings or monthly consultations, there's lots of ways to contact me, either through this channel or Patreon, PayPal, or mobilestar.7@yahoo.com, or through my weblog, tomsocalm.com, which is where I post the transcript of these weekly videos. Okay, so that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a great day.